In today's video, I'll be sharing the incredible transformations I've witnessed in clients who retired early and why helping people achieve this has become my passion as a financial advisor. If you're new to the channel, hi, I'm Julia, certified financial planner and managing director of URS Advisory. And through getting to work with dozens of early retirees and seeing the profound changes in their lives, I've discovered that early retirement isn't just about money. It's about reclaiming control over your time, your health, and your relationships. And that's exactly why I'm making this video today, to show you the life-changing benefits that my clients experience that go far beyond financial freedom, the unexpected discoveries they make about themselves, and why early retirement might be the most important goal you ever pursue. So let's get into it. Early retirement reshapes life in a way that just transcends numbers. It basically transforms your relationship with time itself. So clients often tell me that the first morning they wake up without an alarm clock is unforgettable, or the first Monday rather. It's not just about sleeping in. It's the realization that they're no longer racing against a clock that someone else set. That single shift, right? Waking up on your own terms, I don't know what that's like, but waking up on your own terms marks the beginning of a new mental and emotional chapter. Without the constant pressure of deadlines and meetings, many describe a significant drop in stress levels. They're no longer in reactive mode, and instead, they're living deliberately, right? They're choosing how to spend their time based on what brings fulfillment, not obligation. So it's a freedom that brings peace of mind, mental clarity, and just a feeling of spaciousness that's hard to quantify. As the stress recedes, sleep improves, energy returns, and hobbies resurface. Their physical and emotional well-being begins to sort of recalibrate. So clients tell me that they feel more rested and more present. Even my dad, who retired in July of last year, says that his stress level has been cut by about 75%. And I can really see it when I spend time with him. He says it feels like he's added years to his life, not just the number of years, but the actual quality of those years. And that's the magic of early retirement. See, when you're able to retire early, when you're still young and healthy, you finally have time to do all of the things that you've always wanted to do, but haven't had time for. Some take on new hobbies, some spend time with their families and friends, some even work part-time or maybe work a different job, one that they're actually passionate about. They do things for joy, right? As opposed to just productivity. So time, once the most limited resource, becomes abundant. And that abundance transforms how they live each day. What once felt important, right? Titles, status, promotions, those things start to feel a lot less important. And in their place, values like health, connection, creativity, and purpose rise to the surface. Take Mark and Denise, for example. When they both retired early at 58, they thought they'd spend a little more time traveling and doing some home projects. What they didn't expect was how quickly their daily life transformed. The first thing Mark said to me after their transition was, "I did not realize how tired I was until I finally got to sleep without an alarm." He started every day with a walk instead of a commute, and somewhere along the way, he picked up watercolor painting, something that he hadn't done since college. So now he paints nearly every morning with music playing in the background and coffee in hand. And meanwhile, Denise rediscovered her love for cooking and now has the time to experiment and really take her time with it. With no rush in the evenings, she began hosting long, relaxed dinners with friends they hadn't seen in years. And one night she told me, "These conversations around the table feel way more valuable than anything we bought when we were both still working full time." So with time and space, their values started to realign. Mark admitted he had once been obsessed about career advancement. But after a year into early retirement, he said, "I used to measure my success by job titles, and now I measure it by how I feel when I wake up in the morning." They stopped making decisions based on what they had to do and started focusing on what actually felt meaningful for them. Mark began mentoring young engineers at a local college, and Denise joined a book club and started writing essays, something that she'd always wanted to do. Another example are dear clients, you may know them, John and Bev of the Retirement Travelers, totally reinvented themselves in the best way after retiring early. So once their kids were all grown up and John was able to retire early from a Fortune 500 company, they moved on to a burning passion of theirs, which is travel. They decided to start a YouTube channel documenting their travels around the world called The Retirement Travelers, which, by the way, has become the most popular retiree travel channel. So it's not a little channel, it's a really big channel. And if you haven't watched them, please check them out. Bev is also an artist, and she took her talents to doing the filming for the videos, as well as designing the thumbnails and coming up with the concepts. So she was really able to use her talents that she couldn't really use when the kids were growing up and when John was working, and, really flourished in this sort of second career or second period of their life. Their lives look absolutely nothing like they did when John was working, in the very best way possible. They'll tell you themselves that they've never been happier or felt closer to their purpose. So now let's examine how early retirement massively improves physical and mental health in ways you may not expect. One of the biggest surprises my clients share after retiring early is how quickly their health starts to improve. When they finally step away from the stress of work, deadlines, commutes, difficult bosses, it's like their whole body takes a deep breath for the first time in years. What I hear most often, and what I said earlier, was that improvement of sleep. So I can't tell you how many clients tell me, I'm sleeping better than I was when I was a kid. I'm finally getting the rest in, and when I wake up, I don't feel sluggish or tired or, just uninspired. I feel ready to wake up and take on the day and do what makes me happy. Many of our clients had stress-related health issues, right? Like migraines, high blood pressure, stomach problems that just start getting better once the daily grind is gone. Things that they thought were permanent suddenly don't feel so permanent anymore. And then there's the time they finally have for, to make healthy meals, to go for daily walks, even a slow cup of coffee in the morning. They're not rushing through meals or, skipping workouts anymore. They start taking care of themselves, not because they should, but because they finally can. When the constant pressure of work lifts, especially the financial worries or fears about job security, they really feel like they can breathe. And this helps anxiety levels drop, sometimes dramatically. Clients often tell me that once they're no longer stuck in a high-stress, toxic work environment or dealing with difficult coworkers, that they actually think more clearly. The mental fog starts to lift, their mood improves, they become more patient, more present. Even their relationships start to feel easier and more fulfilling because they're no longer constantly drained. And perhaps most importantly, they start to rediscover joy, right? They smile more, they laugh more, they take genuine interest in hobbies and experiences they used to do but never had time for anymore. It's just an overall sense of well-being and a newfound purpose that you just can't do when you're still working. Even just having the time and energy to stay active every day makes a huge difference. They're not waiting until their health starts to decline to enjoy life. They're doing it now while they're at their best. They get to be fully present with the people they love, which helps both their body and their mood. And that kind of connection and activity creates a healthy routine that builds on itself. And here's something that's easy to overlook: the long-term impact of lower stress. Chronic stress from work takes a serious toll over time. It's linked to heart problems, diabetes, weight gain, memory loss, the list goes on. But stepping away from all that pressure while they're still in their prime can not only help them feel better, it may actually help them live longer. In fact, a Dutch study found that men who retired early at 55 lived longer than those who kept working, even after accounting for their health at the time. It shows just how powerful it can be to invest in your well-being before your body is worn out. So while early retirees may not always realize it right away, they're often adding not just more years to their life, but better years. Now, before I move on, these life transformations from early retirement could change everything for you. Click the link in the description to watch my free training video where I'll show you exactly how to create your own early retirement plan. For my clients who retire early, financial freedom changes everything. It's not just about having money in the bank, it's about what that money unlocks in their lives. Once they know and accept that they have enough money to live comfortably without relying on a paycheck, the constant background stress just fades. Take Lisa, for example. She retired at 52 after decades in a high-pressure marketing job. She told me, "I didn't realize how much my mental energy went into worrying about layoffs, the stock market, the next big expense. Now that I know I'm financially okay, I actually enjoy my mornings. I don't wake up in a panic mode anymore." And that calm shows up in daily life. Tom and Renee, a couple who retired in their late 40s, used to make every decision with money in mind, from groceries to vacation days. Now they don't second guess every little expense. Tom says, "We don't splurge like crazy, but we finally feel like we can breathe. We go out for dinner, to lunch on a Tuesday if we feel like it. That feels like real freedom." Financial independence also gives people the confidence to make life choices they feel like that are true to them. For instance, Kevin always wanted to try photography, but never really had the time to do it while he was working and certainly didn't have the energy. But after retiring at 50, he bought a used camera, started taking classes, and now sells his prints at local markets. He told me it's not about making money from it. He really doesn't make much money from it. But it's finally about doing something that he loves without worrying if it makes money or not. So when you remove money stress from the equation, it opens up space for everything else that matters: health, relationships, and creativity. For my clients who retire early, the sense of financial security they feel isn't just about having a large portfolio. Of course, that helps and is really important. But it's also about having a solid, well thought out plan that covers the what ifs. So they're not just hoping things will work out. We've run the numbers, we've built in, stress test scenarios, we've gone through every possible obstacle, and we make sure that they know what to do to be able to overcome those obstacles. A big part of that peace of mind comes from having more than just one source of income. Maybe it's investment withdrawals, pensions or annuities, or a part-time project they actually enjoy. Having money coming in from different places means that they're not worried if the market dips or something unexpected comes up. Healthcare is another big one. The clients who feel most secure are the ones who planned ahead for it. They factored in private insurance, out-of-pocket costs, and long-term care possibilities. They didn't just think about how much they'd need to live, they planned for how much it might cost to stay healthy along the way. What surprises many of them is how much more secure they feel after leaving their jobs. When they were working, they worried about layoffs, office politics, and whether they had enough in savings. In retirement, they know exactly where their money's coming from, and they have those stress tests built in, so they know their plan can handle changes. And here's the interesting part. That kind of security actually gives them more freedom to try new things. Some decide to move somewhere new. Others start small businesses to help their kids financially. They're not stuck, right? They can make decisions that, again, feel good to them. And these clients that were able to retire early, by the way, it's not by accident, and they tend to have a few things in common. One, they were disciplined about savings, but they didn't live like hermits, right? They didn't get caught up in spending more as they earned more, but they stayed focused on their saving strategy so they wouldn't have to be working into their, late 60s, 70s. And almost all of them say the same thing when they look back, that skipping a few luxuries, while they were working is well worth them being able to retire early and enjoy their lives when they're young and healthy. Okay, now that you've seen these life-changing transformations, let's look at how you can create your own early retirement plan and experience these benefits for yourself. A great client of ours, Craig, says it best when he says, it's not what you retire from, it's what you retire to. And this is the single most important step in successful early retirement planning, that you have a life plan for when you finally stop working. And the first step in doing that is to get clear on why you want to retire. Do you want more time with your family? Do you want more time to travel? Are you just feeling like your health is suffering? Do you want a chance to sort of slow down and enjoy life without being tied to a schedule? Knowing your real motivation helps you decide if early retirement is the right goal or if something else would meet your needs better. Once you've thought about your why, it's time to look at how your current life lines up with your values. Are you spending your time and money on what matters most to you, or are you just getting through the day? If your spending is mostly going toward things that don't really bring you lasting joy, that's a sign that something needs to shift. Maybe choosing to live a simpler life now can make retiring early a lot more realistic and worth it later on. You'll also want to be honest with yourself about whether you're ready to start planning seriously. If you're willing to save with purpose, avoid lifestyle creep, and think long-term, you're probably ready. A big clue, you're already thinking about what your life after work is going to look like and getting excited about it. If you have a partner or family, get them involved early too. Talk about what early retirement means for both of you. Will it change where you live, how you'll spend your time, and what are you hoping to do with that extra time? Getting on the same page makes the goal feel more real and more doable. Once you're clear on your goals, it's time to build a plan. And that includes figuring out how much you'll need, when you'd like to retire, and how to create income in retirement, whether it's through investments, rental income, part-time work, or something else. You'll also want to, of course, plan for healthcare emergencies and how your lifestyle might evolve over time. And remember, your plan doesn't have to be perfect from day one. Life changes, and your plan should too. Early retirement is, of course, about the money, but it's also about designing a life that gives you more time, more freedom, and more control. And when your financial plan supports what matters most to you, that's when things really start to change. The foundation for early retirement also starts with a few key financial milestones. Most people aiming for this goal target having enough saved and invested to cover their annual expenses for the rest of their lives, often using something like the 4% rule as a rough guide. For example, if you want to spend $60,000 per year in retirement, you typically aim for around $1.5 million saved. Now, I'm not a big fan of the 4% rule, as I think that it's far too conservative for most retirees. But if you are retiring early, let's say you're in your early 50s, you may need to follow that rule, as your portfolio has to last a lot longer than somebody retiring at a more, conventional age. And to get there faster, successful early retirees often follow a mix of high savings rates, low overhead lifestyles, and smart investing. Saving 40 to 60% of your income may sound extreme, but if your expenses are low and your income is solid, it is possible. They also invest in low-cost index funds, build tax-efficient portfolios, and take full advantage of retirement accounts, HSAs, and brokerage account flexibility. Some use real estate or small business income to diversify further. That said, the goal isn't just to stockpile with money. It's to do it in a way that doesn't make you miserable in the process. The most balanced early retirees are intentional. They spend on things they truly value and skip the stuff that doesn't add lasting happiness. They find free or low-cost ways to enjoy life, hiking, hobbies, quality time, without always defaulting to spending. It's also important to stress test your plan against market crashes, early deaths, and long-term care events. You have to have a backup plan. What happens if healthcare costs are higher than expected, right? What happens if you or your spouse needs long-term care, or what happens if one of you passes away early? Do you have enough in savings to support that surviving spouse? And aside from just the financial things, you also need to prepare mentally. Many people don't realize how tied their identity is to their job until they leave it. The happiest early retirees do the work to figure out what gives them a sense of purpose beyond their title and paycheck. That might mean volunteering, mentoring, creating, anything that's going to fill your time and make you feel like you have a new job in life. Explore hobbies, join groups, reconnect with friends, or even try a mini retirement or sabbatical to test what your future lifestyle might look like. These gradual transitions help ease the shift and make retirement feel less like a cliff and more like a natural next step. Finally, the most successful early retirees create some light structure for their days. It might be a morning routine, weekly commitments, or goals that they're working toward. Having purpose and rhythm, not just freedom, is what makes early retirement truly fulfilling. Okay, now that you understand the profound life transformations I've witnessed in my early retirement clients, you can see why this goal extends far beyond just accumulating money. By the way, if you retired early and experienced these benefits, please let us know in the comments below. And if you're busy working toward a retirement in the next 5 years, click the link in the description below to watch a free training video that goes over the exact process that we use to help our clients retire early.